Good evening. Welcome to a new edition of Real World News TV. One of your co-hosts, Reggie, Kearney, and got also tonight my other co-host, Tappin. Sharon, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Reggie, I'm all right. I'm a little on the tuckered side, but I'm here, semi-ripped, roaring, and ready.
Okay. Tonight we're going to discuss the latest in headline news and politics. So the first place I want to start with is North Carolina, Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Well, the DA said, hey, they didn't do nothing wrong. The officers didn't do nothing wrong. So he's not going to charge them with anything.
Yeah, I read that, and I'm just getting really sick and tired of these narratives and spin doctoring to justify murder when it's not necessary. Good evening, Jackie. Welcome. I understand that, yes, they have a right to defend themselves, but he was trying to get away, regardless of the reason, whether it was because he had a warrant or he had drugs on his person. He was no longer a threat because he was trying to drive away. Some of them positioned themselves in front of the car. They put themselves in the path of the car. He didn't direct the car in their direction. He's in flight or fright mode. Neither the warrant nor drugs on his possession warranted a death sentence. Shoot the wheels of the car if you have to shoot something. So I find it just disgusting.
Well, you can see the stance that the police officer shot the one they shot through the back window. You know, it was like the slave patrol, really. You had I was listening to the president of NAACP in Elizabeth City say that the job of a prosecutor is to speak for the person, the deceased person. Okay, he's supposed to advocate for the deceased person, not advocate for the person committing the crime. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what these white district attorneys, plus the one black one in Kentucky, that's what they're doing. They are advocating for the police officers.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything to advocate for the victim.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and that's all they're doing. It's like that blue wall. They're protecting it. Now, so the police chief said and the DA said that they're going to retrain their police officers because they do. See, this is a problem I have. In their operating procedure manual, they state that you're not supposed to chase a fleeing vehicle. Okay, you're not supposed to shoot at a felon. Okay, they got all that stuff in there. But then they violated it all. And then you had the DA saying they were trying to protect themselves because they were scared. I mean, come on, man. It's just a bunch of hogwash. And, my opinion, coming off of the Derek Chauvin case, I just think it was just retribution and payback. That's all I think it was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are at least three other cases that I was
Hmm.
following this evening in readiness for tonight's case. And the interesting thing is, this is the ruling in North Carolina. Meanwhile, in South Carolina, Southern Carolina deputies involved in Jamar Sutherland's death have been fired. And I think the prosecutor is looking into whether or not they're going to try. And this is an individual who was in jail for 12 hours a day maximum over a minor offense at a nursing home or some kind of assisted living facility. Didn't want to come out according to them, he didn't want to come out of his jail cell to participate in a Zoom call with the judge. And they tased him and sprayed him repeatedly and sat on his back. Now, if the guy doesn't want to go, then clearly he's saying that he's willing to stay right where he is. Reschedule it. All of
Hmm.
that was unnecessary. Don't waste anybody's time. You don't want to come to court? Okay, fine, we'll reschedule. It'll be 3 weeks from now, though. That's a better option than winding up dead. And it's absolutely disgusting. So it's interesting there. They have a female chief of police there, Charleston County Sheriff Kristen Graziano, who was recently elected. And first she put them on desk duty, and then she fired them. And the solicitor, Scarlett Wilson, said that they're going to have a decision before the end of June on whether or not either of these police officers are going to be criminally charged. So I find it interesting. It's a little juxtaposed that they seem to be doing something a little more forward thinking in South Carolina, and in North Carolina, it's the same old, same old.
Hmm. Well, this young man in South Carolina was suffering from a mental breakdown. Because when they open the jail cell, he's sitting in the middle of the floor, no shoes on. So
With a spoon,
yeah, it's
which,
evident that he was suffering, some kind of mental breakdown. But that's why I go back to when you talk about defunding and reallocating funds in the police department. They're either going to train these guys how to deal with mental illness, or they need to call in people to help them when they have a person that's having a mental breakdown. There, I don't forget what police department it was, but they're taking some of their money and they're going to train their police officers in the area, being able to identify people and work with people that have mental breakdowns instead of killing them. So,
well, yeah, it's like we're animals to be put down. Animals don't
mhm,
have mental breakdowns, they have
yeah,
rabies, and that's kind of how they see us.
mhm,
We're disposable. And you look at the mug shots of these two police officers, and they do look like skinheads to me.
mhm,
And it's unfortunate. I don't even like saying that because I know that there are races out there who will look at us and say we look like thugs. But you and
mhm.
I didn't kill anybody in under 5 minutes over
Right.
over something that was not necessary. He wasn't a threat
Mhm.
to their lives. They could have just locked the door and walked away.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
again, it
and just
goes towards that, enforcing their will. They're hiring, it's a combination of hiring very racist people and
mhm,
extremely ignorant people, and that they don't have the critical thinking to say to themselves, path of least resistance, lock the door and walk away. There was information in the article, and I can't remember it now, but they supposedly had mental health people on nearby. The minute he gave them lip about leaving the cell, recognizing that he had some kind of mental disability at that moment, they should have just called them over and let them deal with it. They are not qualified. Um, yeah, so it's disgusting.
yeah. It's the thing is they give these guys they have too much power and they don't know how to use the power they're given. And they think that anytime you saying no when you should be saying yes, okay, I'm gonna use my power, I'm gonna use my authority on you. And a lot of times we're seeing that these individuals are dying at the hands of correctional officers and police officers
Well, we
because
see it time and time again, just like you said. On the videos, you see the police officer saying, because I said so.
Yeah.
or because that's the law and they know that's not the law, or they don't know and they're just pulling it out of their ass
Yeah.
because they want to enforce their will and not
Mhm.
the actual law.
Yeah. It was like I was watching a playback of the shooting in South Carolina where the officer didn't realize somebody was filming, was taping it off from the distance. You know, he got convicted on both state and federal charges. But the thing was, the guy was running away from him. Okay, and he was at a good distance from him when he shot him.
Yeah,
So
a threat to
then
no one.
yeah, then when he was trying to say that the guy was trying to tase him. So what he did, he took his taser and put it in the guy's hand when he was
Hmm.
laying dead. Hey, the guy who filmed it happened to be in the right place at the right time, unfortunately.
Yeah,
You
which
know,
is why they want to make filming police officers illegal
yeah,
in so many municipalities.
yeah. And the cop didn't know somebody was filming it, which was good. It was filmed because if you had never filmed it, his scenario, even though it's still been off, and they wonder why did you shoot this guy in the back this far away, it would still been, in his favor. You
Yeah.
know, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, I think it's a conversation we're going to have every day to the world comes to an end because there's going to be another police officer somewhere who's going to do something. It's just their
I'm
nature.
just sick and tired of hearing retrain. No, they just went through training. However long ago, they were trained. And either they weren't paying attention and you passed them anyway, or they were paying attention and your training sucks. So training is not, I'm sorry, these people are broken. It's too late for
Yeah,
retraining as far as I'm concerned.
and like you said, you probably got a group of officers that do harbor racist attitudes, and they see it as a way to, in their own little bitty heads and minds, that they're doing something to cleanse society. Anytime they can take a black person out, and that's that mentality,
Yeah.
because they realize they're going to get off of it. Just like in Elizabeth City, those officers did not have to shoot him, but in something told in their mind, well, we can justify it because he almost hit us with the car.
Yeah, going all of 10 miles per
Yeah.
hour. Yeah.
So let's shoot him. We'll get off. And like one of the commentators said on the news tonight, if you notice the guy that was on the passenger side, he pushed away from the car, but he never took his gun out.
So what's that tell you?
Now, I'm the closest to the car. I almost get hit. Should be the one pulling my gun out and shoot. But he never pulled his gun out. He just pushed his way off the car to get out of the way, and that was it.
This was not a dangerous felon.
Yeah.
They had a warrant. They could have served it at any time. At
Well,
any time.
They came there looking for a confrontation because they had about 6 of them or 7 of them hanging off the back of a pickup truck.
Yeah.
So they came with the idea that, that's what they were going to do. It's going to be a confrontation. We're going to take all y'all over there because we need to take this man down. So it was already implanted in their brains that, hey, he's going with us one way or the other. We're either going to arrest him or either he's going to die. So,
I don't know how this can be fixed.
yeah.
Our society is so broken. The world is so broken. You see what's happening in Israel, and I can't even wax on about that because it's just so sad and disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, it's comparable in some ways to what's going on between the police and people of color in this country.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the way, whether it's in the way of gentrification or in the way in terms of their neighborhoods or the opportunities that they perceive themselves as being entitled to that others are getting.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a justification for why it's okay to shoot a 13-year-old or why it's okay to manhandle a child, a young girl in her teens in a bikini on a grass and a lawn because she's not listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
This whole it's my way or the highway. No, if you don't have just cause, don't lay hands.
Yeah. Well, I'm the police. I can do whatever I want to do. You got to accept it, and I'm never wrong. You know, it's too bad that we can't do like they do in England. That none of the officers have guns, and they have a special team if you need um, a gun to handle a situation. They would send that special team to you. Other than that, you don't have anything. But we're so far gone here in the United States that we can't take the guns away from our police officers. Because if you did, Lord have mercy, we'd be up the creek. You
Yeah,
know,
no, this,
that
this
stuff.
yeah, we're too young as a nation. We're too
Hmm.
immature. That's just, you look at the dichotomy, like we're just a very strange country. On the one hand, we're bordering on puritanical,
Hmm.
girls can't wear spaghetti straps in schools or whatever because it's distracting to the boys. And then on the other hand, we talk about, women's rights and liberties like we are setting an example globally when we're not. Same thing with democracy, same with policing, and we
Hmm.
can't undo that. We bastardize everything. We take a great idea and we shit on it
Hmm.
and then wonder why it doesn't work or claim it's our discovery and it is the only way
Hmm.
it works. When there's so many examples of other countries where it works fine in other ways. I remember
Hmm.
I lived in Sweden for a period of time when I was younger. And when I came back, I experienced more culture shock coming here than I did going there. Because like you were saying, the police didn't have guns at the time. There was very little violence, but of course, culturally and psychologically, they are different than we are. And this is still the Wild West. It may look modern, but it's still the Wild West. When you have stand your ground laws and open carry laws, that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I think when it comes to the open carry laws, it's just guys wanting to be cowboys. Okay, that's just the bottom line. That you know, 99.9% of the time when you go out, nobody's going to jump you or accost you. Okay, so why do you have to carry a gun around with you everywhere you go? Because you have your quote unquote Second Amendment rights to do it. you know. But I can say in this area in Virginia, they have like Target and a lot of stores have signs that you can't bring the gun in the store. They let you know up front. For a shop. Because you never know what's going to happen. Because a lot of these guys, just because they take the gun training class to get certified, this the brain's still not certified.
Mhm.
So the thing about it, if they get jammed into a situation where temples flare, first thing they're gonna do, they're gonna feel threatened and they're gonna shoot somebody.
We have seen that so many times. Look at the woman who shot at somebody over a road rage,
Hmm.
and I don't recall her having any repercussions for that. It
Right.
was not appropriate, but this notion that everyone else can fear for their lives except for us.
Hmm.
Everyone else can stand their ground except for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walk around in open carry states except for us because of this assumption of criminality in
Hmm.
every aspect of our lives. It's
Hmm.
exhausting.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing, the Second Amendment issues came to a head when Obama was elected president. I think a lot of whites felt threatened by blacks that we were just gonna take over the country and gonna run them out. So what they do, they go load up on guns and ammunition, looking thinking it's gonna be a race war.
Well,
And
yeah, they were saying exactly that when he
yeah.
won, that he would create a black militia
Hmm.
and all of this other nonsense. Meanwhile, who had the brown shirts?
Hmm.
Trump.
Yeah.
Who had the insurrection? Trump. I
Hmm.
mean, but it's okay
That,
because he
that
did
was
it.
that was not an insurrection. That was the Patriots visiting the Capitol on a tour that day. Okay.
And
Come on, man.
smearing excrement on the walls and bringing zip ties. Those were just party favors.
But yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
they just wanted to find Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi to sit down and have a talk with them.
And
That's all they were.
AOC. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's crazy. This country it's lost. Okay, it is lost. Having a conversation. with one of my Republican colleagues today, and we have frank conversations. I tell him I ain't holding back on him. You know, he had the audacity to say that they're going to take back 54 seats in Congress next year. I said, man, do I need to give you a thermometer so you can take your temperature? I said, how in the world y'all think you're going to do that? Oh, it's only through gerrymandering. And I said that the districts won't even be ready or done by the 2022 election, maybe the 2024, but not the 2022. But he swears up and down that the Democrat, and you know, and like I told him, you know, you all swear up and down the Democrats are destroying this country. That you all are the only ones that are doing things right. I said, look at the guy y'all just had in the White House, how he tried to destroy things, you know. And they don't see that picture, you know. They want to paint Biden as being an old senile man moving slow. And I looked at him, I said, well, how do you think you're going to be walking at 78 years old? Are you going to be running down the hallway on your tippy toes at 78 years old? I said,
He's in better physical condition than Trump has been ever. So they could just shut it, you know.
He does walk on his tippy toes, you know. And he does take them, you know, he does take them little senior citizen steps, but still, you know, what do you expect at 78 years old? And like I told him, you know, because, you know, somebody made a comment about him sleeping or going to bed early or something. It's stupid that a Republican made a comment that he sleeps too much. I mean, just because he doesn't stay up to 11 o'clock at night, you stay up 11 o'clock at night. I mean, come on, man. But they focus on
tweeting.
Yeah. They focus on the wrong things, you know. And so, but like I told him today, that overall, the government, both parties in the country stink to a certain extent because everybody's worried about the next election. I said, especially you Republicans, all you're all worried about is the next election. Y'all not worried about trying to help get an infrastructure bill passed and things like that. Y'all worried about 2022. That's all y'all worried about.
That's their job. Their job isn't servicing the totality of the constituents in the areas they represent. Their job is maintaining their power base and the power base of those sycophants who, you know, the corporate entities that give them money and then give them tax breaks. I mean, it's about maintaining that part of the system. Yeah. And I think, you know, I wish that there were more checks and balances in government that would prevent the monetizing of your position. You make your salary. That's what you get paid for. Yeah. To do this, that's what you do. You can't monetize your position. You can't get gifts. You can't get plane rides and jet rides to and fro. Your spouse can't benefit from your position.
Right.
You know, all of that is just insanity. But meanwhile, it's fine when they do it. But you know, when the Obamas leave office and write a book and make $1 million, they lose their collective minds.
Yeah, you know, only reason the guy who was in the White House previously hasn't done because nobody wants to take time and pay him that kind of money to write a book. You know, he wouldn't
write it himself.
Yeah,
it'll
probably
be.
Draw some pictures.
What would it be? Man, woman. Elephant camera or some stupid shit. That'll be his book.
He'll draw some pictures. He'll just draw some pictures and put in there. You know, freehand some pictures and stuff, you know. But they, you know, like I said, the country is in. That's why we're so down in our standing around the world because we're not focused on what we need to be focused on. We're not working on educating our kids. And that's what we got to do. Yeah. You know, it's unfortunate that here in 2021, you still got a lot of areas of the country that don't have broadband. And that's something that should have been done years ago once technology started coming along, the states. And I don't so much blame the presidents, I blame the states for allowing themselves to get so far behind in rural areas where you don't even have broadband.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're supporting giving excessive amounts of money to the military and not investing in their states. You know, there was I was watching something over the weekend, and this woman was talking about how a family member from Germany came to this country, and I don't know what state they visited, but they got very depressed and they were crying when they were looking at the level of poverty that so many people live in, which was at not what she was expecting coming to America, because this is supposed to be, the end all do all of opportunity. And when you look at other countries that have slightly more socialist leanings, significantly less homelessness, better education. When I lived in Sweden, I think that if all children in the United States had the opportunity to live abroad for 6 months anywhere between the age of 11 and 16, and then come back here, this would be a better country, because you would have a point of comparison for the first time in my life. No matter how many books I read, I still, in my mind, as probably most people who don't travel, before they travel for the first time, think that the entire world is like this, with just some cultural differences. They're different psychologically, they're different spiritually, etc. But I had the opportunity to go to school abroad, and I was embarrassed at 12 years old. I couldn't draw a map of the world. And it was just a little art project they gave us in class. And I was mortified that all of my peers were out there sketching away, and I could do North America and Africa, but Europe, all I could do was the boot of Italy. I couldn't do anything else. So I made it a fun hobby for myself from that moment to study the atlas, study the map, learn the capitals. Of course, I've subsequently forgotten a lot of that. But I just did not want to be embarrassed like that again. And when I came back here and started school again here and saw the way they treat students, we had a pool table, we had recess between classes so that we could get rid of that excess energy and then go back and focus. It was just an environment you wanted to be in, not something that felt like an early introduction to the prison system that we have here in the public school system in many schools. You're introduced to chemistry, physics, biology from a very young age, not simply once you get to high school. So, and in some respects, students in high school or junior high school almost had the freedom that you would have in an American college. And it was extremely liberating and freeing to be in that kind of environment. And when I came back here, I realized how we are sold such a bill of goods. And no, before some asshat watching this show later on says, well, if you don't like it, leave. No, I want to stay and make this the best it can be, not give up and leave it to become what it is and worse, which is the direction it's going in. And nobody in this country should be satisfied with the educational system the way it is, with the medical system or the judicial system the way it is. Nobody, regardless of your ethnicity or background. The only people who have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo are the 1%, because they make their money off of our backs, including prisons for profit.
You're talking about making money. Amazon didn't pay any taxes on the profits. And it was another company who didn't pay. It was a couple other companies that didn't pay taxes on the profits that they made last year. And they need to make these guys do something, pay something, because Bezos out now building a $500 million yacht, special design yacht. I mean, if you can spend that much money on a yacht, then you can spend money on paying your taxes off the profits that you made. So that's how these guys are getting richer and richer, just because the laws that this country has. I was listening to T.D. Jakes, and he was saying that if you look back over history, the great regimes fell. Like Rome and countries during that time, they fell. And like he said, the United States can go the same way. And you look at it, our status gradually goes down year after year after year.
Yeah. Well, I've often looked at our system of government and our country as sort of an offshoot of Rome. I mean, so much of our iconography throughout the country and on our money, in our government buildings are based on that design. So this to me just seems like a modernized version of what they had in Rome, although in many respects, Rome was far more advanced than us when you look at them as a society in terms of how they putting aside their atrocities, obviously, but anybody could be a Roman, just like anybody could be an American. You could become a citizen, a valued citizen of Rome, whether you were in the army or something, anything else. But again, we take an idea and we bastardize it. So
yeah, I mean, we got a lot to do. I think, like I said, I think what's happening in the United States is that the two-party system has just fallen apart. And neither party is making this country better. It's like, but we got to keep the blue states. We got to keep the blue states, and we got to keep our red states. That's the only way we can get better. We got to keep our red states. This state is not blue; it's a red state. That's all you hear. That is all you hear. You're not hearing. Something. We got to come together, put our minds together, and do some things and make it better for our future kids and grandkids. And that's what you don't hear.
Yeah, no, you hear about the people who want to fix the water in Flint, and fix our services that we can benefit from and our future generations can benefit from. And then you hear about those people who want to protect their generational wealth and at everyone else's expense. So just to go back to what we were talking about earlier, you saw that did I mention that the judge found probable cause for moving ahead with a case against Kim Potter?
Yeah, I mean, hey, she did what she did. She's gonna have to spend some time in jail if they found her guilty. I mean, again, like I said in the previous show, the weight difference between a Glock and a taser is about 5 pounds difference. Okay, it's a couple pounds that you can tell the difference. She knew what she had in her hand. She might say she was gonna tase him, but she knew exactly what she was doing because she had time enough to look at her hand. Because she's holding her hand out in front, so she had time to look at it and say, "Oh, I got the wrong weapon."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, to distract the population, we hear that the Pentagon is going to supposedly release a report on UFOs in June. So,
well, they're out there. They're out there. I'm saying.
Well, they need to hurry up and do what they're going to do because we're headed for hell in a handbasket right soon.
Well, I think if there are beings from another galaxy here amongst us, they probably just shake their head and say, let's get up out of here. This is a lost world here. When you look at everything.
Or just take us and use us for labor.
They probably feel like we're not intelligent enough to be labor.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the world. Just look at where we are in this world. Would you, if you came from a far advanced society that was maybe light years ahead of us, and you saw us, would you want to take us back to your planet? No, they're not even smart enough to be labor.
I would probably want to take a couple, but those that don't fit, like those people who appear ready for the sort of next evolutionary step, but they're not many.
Yeah.
But what about Gates? Do you think he's going to get his comeuppance?
Nah. I mean, I think they known for a long time they were going to get divorced.
No, not Bill Gates. Not Bill Gates.
Oh, you talking about the other Gates? You talking about little boy Gates with that funny hairdo?
Yeah. I made the same mistake earlier.
One time I thought that maybe his father might pay this other guy off, but with the federal government, he had like 30-some charges against him. They dropped it down to like 8 charges.
18.
I mean,
I think.
There's stuff coming out of there. Yeah. No, they dropped him down to 8 charges.
8?
Yeah, like they said, he got a sweetheart deal, but he's still looking at 12 years. Okay.
Well, hopefully it's only a sweetheart deal if he sings.
Yeah. I mean, still the judge doesn't have to accept the plea deal. I mean, the federal court, the judge can go back and say, "Oh, okay, so what? They messing with a 17-year-old. You got 30 years. Go ahead and take the 30 years." But that shows us how jacked up this country is. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
bottom line of it, when you can go around the country and laugh in the prosecutor's face and make jokes of what you're going through instead of taking seriously what you're going through and trying to make a name for yourself, along with that other little wacko Marjorie Green. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we this country is messed up, and so people laugh at us. You look at the Prime Minister of Israel. One time, the United States was so strong they could call him up on the phone and say, "Do a ceasefire," and the next day you have a ceasefire. Now it's like he's thumbing his nose up at the United States.
Yeah, I've often wondered, and that's a whole nother conversation, and I unfortunately don't know enough about the subject to wax on about it, but I've often wondered what we get from the relationship with Israel.
Nothing. I mean, we don't.
So if we don't get something from that relationship, what do they have on us that puts us in a position where we give billions of dollars a year to support them?
Politically, if you're in office, and when I say, if you're the president, and depending on where you live at, if you're in Congress or the Senate, you get a lot of donations from the Jewish population. Okay, and that's where it all is. Okay, it's just the power or the pool that they have here in this country. Because we don't get no gas or oil from Israel. Okay, they don't have those products. They have to get theirs from someone else. They're not like a strong manufacturing country. And I think it's just always been a relationship that because of the location of Israel and the things that have gone on in that area, the Middle East, that we had always been an ally. Because what has happened, the countries that weren't friends with us weren't our allies. Okay. And we had to protect them, and I think that's where it's come from. But I think over the years they have built a powerful military apparatus, and they just feel like, I mean, come on, okay, yeah, Hamas, all they're doing is shooting rockets, okay? That's all they're doing, and they've blown them out the air, okay? After that, what are those people doing to you?
I have a feeling of disgust over it. There's a part of me that has a tendency to lean on the side of the Palestinians because they seem to be the underdog here. What little I know about the history in terms of the agreement that was made, what was in the 50s or 60s, for this amount of land for the creation of Israel. And then immediately after that, they took this much beyond the agreement, and that has only expanded over the years. And that just doesn't seem right to me. Now, I don't know what I don't know. So I'm willing to say that there may be some element to that discussion that would justify what they're doing. But all I see is the people that are being kicked out of their homes that they've lived in for 20, 15, 30 years, that don't have a voice, that are being abused. And it always surprises me when you see a group like people who are Jewish, who suffered tremendously during World War II, so willing to take this position of the aggressor against another people. It just surprises me.
And then you're supposed to be the country where Jesus roamed. You're supposed to be the area that's supposed to be religious. Okay, so you would think that your platform would be one of love and helping people, but it's not. I mean, the only thing that Palestinians have to use as weapons outside of Hamas is rocks. And that's how you see them pelting the soldiers with is rocks. That's the only thing they have. But they are getting ran over. I mean, you are very powerful. So what's the need of continuing this war until you feel like it's enough?
Yeah, the degree of animosity and hate there in the epicenter of the birth of three major religions. It's just always like, I would love to visit Israel. I'd love to visit Bethlehem and go to that part of the world, but I honestly don't want to get caught up in all that mess. But it just surprises me that the birthplace of some religions that have very beautiful aspects to them has so much hate. And at the end of the day, those three religions are actually related, and they worship the same God. And they recognize Jesus in one shape or another. So the players are the same. They recognize David and Solomon and etc. So the players are the same. They just don't agree necessarily on the concise roles that they had.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they say, I heard somebody on the news say that the Israel actions are borderline apartheid because their whole
certainly the way it
goal
looks.
is control the Gaza Strip.
Yeah. But meanwhile, I know people who are staunch supporters of Israel who would consider themselves liberals here in this country and are vehemently against the Palestinians and Hamas and say that we're sold a bill of goods, and there's spin doctoring in the news to engender empathy towards the Palestinians, but that they're the aggressors. And I'm always surprised when I see somebody take that point of view, because I'm sorry, but unless you've got a staged situation, video's not going to lie. And when you see Israeli soldiers filming themselves taking aim at Palestinian kids playing soccer or throwing smoke bombs at ambulances, which is against the Geneva Convention,
right?
It makes so little sense to me that I figure there must be something I don't know that would make this more acceptable.
It's just a country wanting to be powerful, and all the Palestinians want is a state for themselves, so they can provide for their people, and that's it, And Hamas, they have set out to destroy Israel, so Israel has to defend themselves. But how much defending do you do when you got kids dying, you got families dying, you're destroying buildings that will never get built again,
Well, you get to a point where you have to wonder who cast the first stone, if you will. When Israel was created and people were displaced, so starts the animosity there. I don't know that it existed prior to that. And then this constant expansion and marginalizing of a group of people who've been there for hundreds of years based on a claim that's in the Old Testament. Like that's what you're using, the Old Testament, to justify this as your land, a book that not everybody necessarily believes in. It's just, I don't know. If this were a movie, you couldn't write the script. It's just insane. It's just insane. But I've got a one-line joke for you to change the depressing subject. Giuliani's son, Andrew Giuliani, announced today that he's running for governor of New York.
Okay. Y'all go ahead and re-elect Cuomo again, okay? Even as bad as he's been in the last couple of months with his personal life and other things, re-elect Cuomo.
I don't care about his personal life. That's his personal life. It has nothing to do with me or the decisions that he made.
Again, what you have is somebody who's just out there trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah, they want to try to create a dynasty. I'm sorry, you are Kennedy. You are not, and I don't know that we will see the likes of that again. But to me, he's just like another freaking pompous Eric Trump-esque type of schmuck. And fortunately, I'm confident that New Yorkers won't stand for it. Now, upstate, Albany, that's another story.
Well, they might not even vote for him.
Let's hope not.
He has no experience in politics. He's just running just because of his last name. I mean, what kind of relationship? I don't even think him and his father had a relationship up until recently when Trump became president. So I mean, he's riding out. He's trying to ride off his father's name, but his father might be in jail in an orange jumpsuit in another year or so.
Well, he's of the same age. Let's find out if he has any ties with Gates or this other fella who pled guilty. They're all hanging out in the same circles.
Oh yeah.
The same shit.
Yeah, Gates. He's a real piece of work. And that's why I told my colleague, I said, that's why y'all don't get 54 seats. I said, y'all got too much crap going on here in this country now to get 54 seats. I said, people going to remember January the 6th. They're going to remember all the other crap y'all doing, and they're going to pass on the Republican Party. I said, y'all don't, y'all voted Liz Cheney out of her position. I said, I said, do you think really people go along with what y'all doing? I said, and I said, how stupid can y'all be? I said, this is the year of the woman. Okay, this is the decade of the woman. I said, no, regardless of what party you in, you start picking off women out of their positions. Don't you think the other women are going to leave and find somebody else to vote for and somebody else to support?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing they don't think.
Well, they don't think. Let's start with that. And you back into everything else. Mm-hmm. My jaw just dropped because our producer Tony posted a little blurb that said, Naomi Campbell gives birth to her first child at the age of 50.
It never said she gave birth. I never heard birth.
It says gives birth to her first child.
When I heard on the news, they said she, had a little baby. She was, letting the world know that she is a mother now. And they said how she became a mother. And I got a good idea how she became a mother through a surrogate.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Well, my first thought was, wow, because I've always seen her as somewhat narcissistic. So it'd be hard to imagine her being willing to sacrifice her body for the creation of life. Yeah. But if she did, then kudos to her and congratulations.
Well, look, did you
regardless of how she got it?
Yeah, did you see her when the virus first started? Her little hazmat suit she was wearing when she was flying and stuff. I mean, I'll be praying for the little girl. I think it's a girl. I'll be praying for the child because the child has a mother on her hand.
Hey, look, even before COVID, I would have wanted to wear a hazmat suit if I could have on a plane. With all those people hacking and coughing and babies spitting up and whatnot on the chairs, and they don't clean any of that business off before the next people get on. You need a black light when you get on a plane. I swear, it's filthy.
Chance you take.
Yeah. Well, I am in some desperate need of Barbados and the healing, cleaning oceans and sands. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but God, I need a vacation. I need out of the city. I need to be unplugged. No Facebook, no TikTok, no news, just nature and me, good food and some rum, and I'll be happy.
Well, go down to the corner liquor store and get you a bottle of rum.
Well, I have plenty of rum right here, but I live in the heart of Manhattan, so it's never quiet. And now that we could spend the last 10 minutes talking about this, the CDC made an announcement that those people who have been fully vaccinated can now walk around outdoors and indoors without masks and without social distancing if they want, with the exception of state-run facilities, assisted living facilities, prisons, and if the establishment you're visiting is continuing the protocol of having the use of masks. So like in my office or any office, the office may decide that they want to continue using masks in place until they reach a critical mass of a number of employees who've been vaccinated. I need warmth, sister mine, not cold. Maybe when we're in the 90-degree weather and it's all of 60 in Maine, I got you. I'll be there and I'll get some lobster and whatnot. But I need warmth. My bones are killing me. So now you've got anti-maskers, who I think people are affectionately referred to as mask holes, faking vaccination cards so they can travel. And it just makes me laugh because these are the entitled people who think that they can break rules and laws because it doesn't apply to them. But these are the same people who take issue with an illegal alien who may fake a documentation to be able to immigrate to this country. Like the hypocrisy is insane. And this is over freaking mask or vaccine.
We jacked up as a country. We're really jacked up, But hey, I didn't realize there's still on the average of 600 people a day dying from the virus. high number.
It's still a high number, although I will say that New York has finally gotten below 1%. We're doing really well right now. About 60% of the state has received at least one vaccination, and over 50% of the state has received full vaccination. So we're plugging away. Restaurants, the curfews are going to be over as of tomorrow evening, and restaurants, I think, can now go to 75%. You're certainly seeing more people go to the restaurants and bars. But I have to say, as horrific as the pandemic was, I miss the quiet of the city, you know. And now the bar across the street, which is notorious for not cutting people off, is open again, full blast, 2, 3 in the morning, drunk fights out the bar, Bon Jovi, you know, being screamed by a bunch of people who can't sing. I did not miss that side of life. I can't say that I did. So getting out of the city would be nice.
I think this winter is really going to tell where we are as far as this virus is concerned. You know, I think once we get, you know, I think the thing is now we're outside again. We're able to go outside, and so we're out in the fresh air and stuff, you know. But I think this is just me. I just think this winter we're going to be in for a rude awakening. Will we go back to the numbers that we came out of? No. But we are going to have pockets of problems. I mean, you look at the governor of South Dakota, okay? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if 1% of the people are only vaccinated in South Dakota. I mean, some of those state governors, they never felt like this virus was what it's supposed to be. I mean, you know, so I see there's going to be a spike. Put it this way, we're never going to get to 70% for herd immunity, okay? We're not going to get that. So I just see real problems coming up again in the wintertime. I think we're going to always continue to go through a cycle every winter from probably December through March. We're going to be going through a little cycle. You know, I think it's
let me just respond to my sister. For the record, 75 is not hot. 75 is a lovely, tolerable degree. But when you're in the 70s, by 6 o'clock, you're dropping to 40. So no, I want
75 in Maine. 75 in Maine is not 75 like here in DC today. Okay, it's
you
a
can
cold.
Still see
75.
your breath in Maine, right?
Yeah, a cold 75.
I want that good cleansing sweat you can only get in the Caribbean, and then go in the ocean and cool off and do it again. You know, people pay good money for that kind of treatment for your skin. Why do you think they all look so young? I look jaundiced. I've not seen the sun in a year and a half. I wait any longer, I'm going to be the same color as my sister and my mother. And that is not necessarily a good thing, because I was not born that way. I need some vitamin D, the kind given by the sun, all you dirty minds out there. So Tony, we have a couple of minutes left. Where it's nice and toasty. Do you want to?
Vegas is a city where it's hot during the day. I went one time in February. It was hot that day. I mean, it was hot. Then that night, I said, God, I should have bought my winter coat with me. I did. I just had a jacket. I froze.
That's perfect to me, because that's great sleeping weather. It needs to be cold at night so that you can sleep well.
Yeah,
so what else is going on here?
Same old. Like I said, same news every day. You know, you don't even have to watch the news.
Last weekend was the first weekend that I unplugged. I didn't watch any news. I didn't go on social media. And it was lovely. It was lovely. So
it seemed like the cycle of news, the 24-hour cycle, just repeats everything else. If you catch it at 6 o'clock in the morning, you can skip it to 6 o'clock the next morning. You know,
unless there's breaking news, like Trump is arrested, in which case I don't want to wait the next day. I want instant gratification.
It's gonna be a party. It's gonna be a party if that happens.
Oh, special show. Absolutely.
That'd be a national holiday. They can make that a national holiday. We would celebrate that one every year.
Trump Day.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even want to call it Trump Day. We have to call it something else. Drumpf or something. I don't know. But Tony, we have 3 minutes left. Do you want to join us and make any statements? Yes, I
No, I
did.
have no
Yes, I
statement.
did.
Want to put a plug
I
in
have
for
no
Las Vegas?
statement.
Oh, my puppy does though.
Hey, you smell? Hey, Kizzy. Kizzy
She just,
girl.
she just went for a walk. Look at these people. Look at these people. So she's all hyper now.
Oh my gosh. Well, interesting stuff y'all were talking about tonight. I appreciate it. I thought the most important was about Naomi Campbell.
So did she give birth or was it a surrogate?
I got the news that it was that she gives birth to her first child at 15.
She didn't give birth to her first child. As much as she loved her body, you think she surrogate?
Yeah, but she hasn't been doing anything lately.
I guess so, because she was staying away from the virus. You know, you saw her in her hazmat suit when it first came out.
Right.
Just like an astronaut, you know.
Well,
that's
she didn't get COVID, so she did something right. Knock on wood.
Right.
Knock on wood.
Well, that's what COVID would get you, a baby.
I'm just, with respect to the vaccine, yeah, really. I'm just hoping that, you know, I know that they've been questioning the efficacy, the long-term efficacy of the vaccine and whether or not people are going to need to get booster shots in a year. I am not down with that. I really hope you don't have to. Now, if it's like the flu shot that they recommend annually, I've never had a flu shot in my life, and I'm not going to. So I will take this now so that I can hug my dad for the first time in a year and a half.
Yeah.
But as far as taking booster shots, I don't know.
I'm taking booster shots. I'm taking my flu shot. Any other shot they want to shoot me with, I'm taking it. Okay. I mean, I haven't had the flu, knock on wood, and God knows when. Okay.
Yeah, neither.
I've been taking the flu shot, and I'm gonna take the booster. The thing about it, they say you might have to take a booster shot after 6 months. My 6 months is August. Okay, so I might have to take another shot in August for the COVID.
That's
and I'm
crazy.
gonna take them. They got them. I'm gonna take them.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I hear you, Reg. I'll be doing the same thing. Yeah. Whatever we have to do to stay on top and away from.
Did you both get your second shots already?
I got mine.
So how did you feel after the second shot?
My second shot was better than my first shot.
It was better than the first?
My first. My first one, I was sick as a dog. My second one, I was sick for about 12 hours, and that was it.
Moderna or Pfizer?
Moderna.
So my first shot for Moderna, I had a headache for 4 days, nausea, and a little bit of positional vertigo. But, you know, those are symptoms I kind of live with cyclically anyway. So, but my husband just got his second shot last week, and he was down, shivers, cold sweats, fever, shaking, teeth chattering. And it took about 12 hours for that to pass, and then a couple of days. And he just sort of semi back to normal tomorrow. But he said that whatever hurt him before hurt even more during that period where his body was processing the vaccine.
Yeah.
Given how much shit I already have going on, I am so not looking forward to the reaction. I'm really hoping that I don't get as sick as he did.
Now, my mother is 86 years old, and she had no problem.
Yeah.
86 years old, she didn't feel nothing. She had a little soreness in her arm.
Yeah, my mother didn't either.
Moderna or Pfizer?
Moderna.
All of you? Moderna?
Yeah. No, I had Moderna.
Okay, yeah, that's what we had.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Although somebody made me feel better about getting Moderna. You know, with all of the PR, at first I wanted Pfizer. Once I heard about the blood clots for J&J, I was like, okay, no, that's done. As a woman, no, thank you. But I was a little turned off when I found out that I was getting Moderna. But then somebody in my office who's from Europe said to me today, you know what? I'd rather take the European drug than the American drug. And after she said that, I was like, you know what? You just gave me peace of mind because you're 100% right.
Yeah. Yeah.
100% right. So,
but you know, you might not have any symptoms at all.
I pray.
Everybody's different.
Yeah. I had enough problems.
Everybody's different.
Yeah. Well, I scheduled it for Friday so that I can recoup Saturday and Sunday.
Right. Yeah. Well, I wish you the best on that, but I think you'll be just fine. I think you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
So
I'll see you Tuesday with a horn, you know.
I know I did a video after my first and second, and see, I'm not glowing yet. So it's like I was like the test tube baby.
You're always glowing, Tony.
Yeah, right. Because my makeup is always not on right. That's why.
I don't know what you're on about.
Anyway, great show, great info. Looking forward to next week. So for all who have been tuned in to Real World News TV, you can catch them here every Tuesday night. The show always begins at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 Central, and 8:30 on the East Coast. You can always find them here on Facebook under Real World News TV. And that is hosted by the handsome Reggie Kearney and the very beautiful and vivacious Miss Chara and Tappin. So, so with that being said, before we get out of here tonight, I just want to mention that Hot Topics Talk Radio TV will not be airing tomorrow night. Yvonne Baker is a little under the weather, and you know I'm not doing that show by myself because I can't talk to myself.
Can you lower that, honey?
So I'm hoping that you'll come on back to Hot Topics Talk Radio in 2 weeks. But until then, you can always catch up on past shows by coming right here on Real World News TV. Go into their video section, and also you can catch the earlier shows from, oh my gosh, how long have you guys been on the air? 4 years?
About that,
4 or 5. I went on YouTube the other night and just put my name in there. I saw a couple shows from 2017.
Yeah, it's crazy. So with you guys on here, you know, you're making a great difference. I do want to say that. And I do appreciate your hard work and your commitment to what we do here every Tuesday night. So I thank you. Now,
you're welcome.
Welcome.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We really appreciate you coming in to sit in and watch what's going on, the truth behind news and politics. And thank you for your continued support. We really do appreciate it. But again, Hot Topics Talk Radio will not air tomorrow night. You can always go to Facebook, catch up on some of the past shows in the video section. Okay? So, everybody.
So long, my ragtime gal. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.